Board games, board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. And here, if you look to this side of me, you, as we've said, you will see LolV. And LolV has done some curation in return for remuneration. Cause that's something that LolV does a lot of. And this is now the end of the song. Board games, that's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hey!
Yay!
Good morning, and good morning to you, Xate. It is lovely to
Hello,
see you. If you say so. Not sure whether that's sarcasm or not. So, and
Hello,
good morning,
Xate.
Alan Outson. It is lovely to see you as well.
Hello.
Well, I am Bez. It is, depending on where you are. I mean, maybe it's 11 a.m. in France, which is approximately brunch time, especially if you've been up since like 7 or whenever. And so we are calling this the Bezzy Brunchy Board Game Blether. And today, LolV is talking about curation in ludotheques.
Yay.
But as always, we are going to start off. Oh, and hello, Andrew January. You're just in time to hear us talking about a brilliant thing. Here's a little thing which is brilliant. Brilliant things. So, what is the brilliant thing for today?
Hot drinks.
Yay! So hot drinks, oh my gosh, they're so amazing, and there's so much variety out there. There's green tea, there's black tea, there's you can have cumin tea. You can even have what LolV is drinking. What are you all about this morning?
I'm drinking. I betrayed tea, and I'm drinking hot chocolate with a bit of cinnamon and cardamom in it.
Oh my gosh, that sounds super fancy. So did you have like a bit of ground up cardamom?
Yes.
Okay, because I've only experienced cardamom as the whole seeds before, where you need to pulverize them a bit and then put them in the curry. But yeah, that sounds beautiful.
I use that too sometimes. I do cardamom coffee when you put 7 seeds in the coffee maker as the coffee brew on the fire. It's very, very good.
And inspired by you, Xate is going to make a latte macchiato and is going to put cardamom inside the espresso. Yes. Alan Outson asks, why are drinks at room temperature less interesting? Does anyone know? I mean, what is so nice about hot drinks? I think for me, it's something about the fact that I'm going to actually say this. I like it when my tea is cooled down a little bit. I like to let my tea cool down and almost get back to room temperature after talking about hot drinks. I like to be able to drink the flavor and enjoy it. But there's something special about it being brewed hot. There's something almost invigorating. And LolV, earlier on, you were talking about it's taking you on a trip down memory lane.
Yeah. Hot tea or hot drink in general?
Like, well, hot drinks in general, does it? Alan's asking, yes. Why are... And I would like to ask everyone in the comments, what is your favorite hot drink? Is it tea? Is it hot chocolate? Is it a bit of hot water with lemon in it? Is it coffee? Let us know. What is your favourite hot drinks? But we are, a board game show, so maybe we should jump ahead and talk about games. What's a little game? What
What
have
have
we
you
been
been
playing?
playing?
What are their names? Yeah, I forgot the lines. It's been a long weekend.
Yeah, it was best day.
So, what games have you been playing? Have you gotten to play anything over the weekend other than in a bond?
No, my only game this weekend was Inbound, but it was
My own.
amazing.
Oh, I mean, I played in a bond as well. I got to be the trader on Saturday and Sunday. I think maybe on Sunday we had too many traders. I think that Saturday was the best day for sure. But yeah, was really happy about how it worked. I also got to play a bit of puzzle, but let's talk about in a bond. Yeah, what did you think of it? Would you play it again?
I would love to play it again, but the thing that really was impeding for me was the fact that I was playing it on my bed, so I didn't have like a lot of balance, so everything was very tense. I was very tense, and I end up hurting myself a bit over
Oh,
it because I didn't want to lose first, I was a bit competitive. I didn't want to be the first one to lose, but I did. But given that, like, last year at the same time I couldn't be standing for 10 minutes or more, I think half an hour of standing on my bed in strange position is good. Like, I shouldn't fight myself. I should be proud.
yeah, for sure. You did very well. And yeah, Xate says that they are hoping that you weren't hurt, and you did
Thank
amazingly.
you, Zait. I really had a good time. I mean, it was really good. What was really good also with In a Bond with was I met all these people. We got to talk in the morning or who appear in your show. It was amazing. I finally got to see Zait.
Hmm.
That was so cool. And
Oh,
everyone else, of course. I was very happy to see you too.
oh. I mean, was I was kind of thinking it would be really interesting. I think that maybe I did a bit. I don't know if I would do quite that amount of live streaming super often. Maybe like hopefully next year it will not be necessary. So I think I'm going to call this a one-off because I think last night I had, or it might have been, no, on Sunday morning, I had a dream about live streaming, and I had a dream that I was live streaming and everything was going badly, that I was saying everyone's name wrongly and everything. And so it's like, oh, yeah, maybe after certain points of time, it's also, I'm really happy that I got to finish at 7 yesterday and wind down and then, because it was so much fun. Oh, wow. And Xate's also dreamt that they were live streaming with me because, yeah, after you've been with someone for basically, yeah, we finished at 8:30 each day. So that's like 7.5 hours. Plus, I did 1.5 hours. So that's like 9 hours basically of live streaming on Friday and Saturday, which is a lot. But, and I think that 7.5 hours of sitting in the same thing is too much. And it made it into a 24-hour stream. Real stream, then dream stream. And Alan said, I dreamt I was being chased by a bull. Talking like for hot drinks, we've got bits of love for, nothing in particular. Alan has so people have chai latte or white hot chocolate. Oh, that sounds
Mm.
fancy.
Yeah,
Or
it's very good.
having toast and tea. And Xate says that their neck hurts even from watching in a Bond players. But what I wanted to say about in a Bond, okay, so this morning I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, let's imagine a situation. I don't know if we could really pull it off at Cannes, because whilst people in France know the game, I did a competition at each day, and there were maybe, I don't, there were between, let's say, 3 and 7 players maybe each day. And if I say, okay, let's play in a Bond, and there's only 3 people who turn up, that's not enough to have a good thing. And Cannes, it's not the sort of place where people go for events. Do you know what I mean? People just want to
Yes.
walk around. They may be some of the mums. And what I love about Cannes is that even though it's a super expensive city to be in, and it's a super expensive, frankly, if you live there, you're probably quite well off anyway. But with the Festival International de Jeux, it is free entry, so anyone can come in. And so last time, I don't know if you know Dragonimos, like King Domino, but Dragonimo.
No.
So this is by Blue.
The name rings some bell.
Yeah,
Blue Poker?
absolutely. Basically, with Cannes, if you want to be there for the first hour, you need to pay a fee. If you want to be there before the official starts, like as an exhibitor, you need to pay something like €50, which both times I went, Jigamic paid for me. But if you're happy to turn up in the afternoon at like 12 o'clock, then you can turn up literally for free. Although anyone who would travel for it, probably by the time you travel, you pay the smaller price to actually go in at, the earlier time, if you're like so excited by board games that you really want to be there. And yeah, the thing that I wanted to say was that you get these families just popping in for an hour saying, okay, this is what games are all about, and then popping out. And that means that you're introducing board games to all these people who wouldn't normally play them. And so in somewhere like Aircon, where people are more excited to have big events, I was going to almost say to Mark Cook at some point, hey, we should have something at Aircon or maybe UK Games Expo where I think I could more realistically get 10 people. And so for in a Bond, maybe all the companies are on one side of the room and there is one judge behind them. So like there's 2 judges, one judge behind everyone, making sure that none of the companies fall or anything. And as many people as want can be judges. Now, on the other side of the room, there's kind of like a table for where the traders pick up 2 cards and they can buy and sell shares. Now, the shares could just be little chips or whatever. And so there should be a second kind of judge or official person. And then the live stock market is being updated. So when they crash the markets, it's like, oh no, it's crashed. And so if you're in the middle of buying it, so anyone can at any point buy and sell shares, and you've got to go to one table and grab the 2 things and then go to the other table and give it to the other people. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that would be really fun, just having buying, selling, and being it just a live game with no turns at all. There's just no turns. It's just totally crazy.
Yes, very, very like real Wall Street feeling.
And Sates wants us to wait, but I don't know what for. But while Sates thinks about, we can come back to whatever you need us to come back to. But let's talk about, that adds a physical element to the traders' roles, which I thought was the point to take that out. Oh yeah, but so you don't get to pick up the 2 cards as quickly as you want. I'm thinking maybe you only get to pick up the 2 cards like every 5 minutes. So it's like, okay, so you would only be allowed to visit the table once every 5 minutes for the 2 challenges that you go to the other side of the room. So hopefully, you know, going from one side to the other isn't too much of a challenge. It would be something like that. And oof, that's a fair point. Like I want, yeah. Yeah, maybe I'd have to talk about SATE because basically what I'm trying to do is to make it more real time so that there could be any number of traders and the traders are just sitting around a table. So someone's kind of, the prices of the different companies is going up or dropping down to zero. And meanwhile, they are at the table saying, okay, I want to buy all this stuff now. And then you're kind of, you've got your line in queue or your tickets in the queue. The other thing that you could have is you could have, maybe we could have like a third judge, official person, like a relay person. That's if you say, okay, I want these two things to get to the other side. Like that could maybe work. But the point is that I just think that we could sort of make it so that there's no real turns. But we should be able to chat about it. And thanks for reminding us that not everyone has the physical capabilities that I have. And so I'm sorry to take things for granted. But speaking of, yeah, I don't have any good segue. Speaking of words, recent highlights, living well and seeing the sights, recent highlights. Other than board games and streaming, I mean, my streaming, that was fun, but yeah, that was with Andrew Dennison and then Jenny and Andrew Harmon. We had the questionably quick questions that took an hour and a half. And Andrew January's one of the things that I'm going to draw, and Alan Paul has several things that I need to draw, and I'm going to do a bunch of drawing over the next few days. But my other thing that I watched, have you heard of, yeah, Never Have I Ever? This is a small film, a kind of series of, I believe, 10 episodes on Netflix. I've watched it over the past 3 weeks, maybe. And it's about someone who's coming to terms with life. But generally, yeah, just being able to chill and, you know what, I just enjoyed being with people, even if it was remotely. For me, that was my recent highlight. I want to keep this section short because I'm aware that now I don't have 7 hours to fill. I need to kind of get into slightly different mindsets and be a bit faster. So what is your recent highlight, LolV?
My recent highlight is I had a fantastic week last week and a very very full week because I left in a bond, and just after I had an activist meeting, and the day after I had another activist meeting. So it was a bit tiring, but I loved it, and a family gathering and stuff. I'm hoping this week is all in the same way, full of love and loss. Also, I'm leaving for Paris for 2 weeks because we play test True Colors, the game I've written.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we play
Did you
test.
say you're leaving in 2 weeks or you're going to be there for 2 weeks?
I will be there for 2 weeks. I will not be in Paris. I will be in the countryside near Paris. So I will be mostly safe, and I'm traveling in car with another person, and we will social distance in the car. They will be on front and I will be on back, and we will not touch each other.
Oh, LolV, we've got, and hi CD, it's lovely to see you. LolV, someone says that you're quite quiet. Is there a way to turn your volume up?
Do you hear me better now?
I mean, you seem to be louder now. So, if you, yeah, so who are you staying with in Paris? If you don't need to share if you don't want to, just in as much detail
It's
as you want to.
it's okay. It's okay. It's a very good friend of mine, which whom name is Lucy. and I
Oh,
love her and a boyfriend very, very much. And a boyfriend is a forest ranger, and 2 years ago I wanted to be a forest ranger, but I was too ill to even pursue archaeology anymore because I was bedridden. So maybe in a few years I will change my life, stop doing ludotheque and work as a forest ranger because I'm really, really getting better thanks to medication. So we will spend time together, probably playing a lot of board game, talking. Probably she will help me sew some clothing, and I need to write. It's not exactly in Paris. Is in the region Hauts-de-Seine. So
hmm.
there is a forest. It's like 1 hour from Paris,
Okay.
and there is a lot of forest there.
And apparently it's a little louder. I don't know if this helps the technical stuff, but it sounds like it's using the PC's microphone rather than the headset.
I don't know. Maybe this headset is not even a year old. I don't know why it isn't working. I'm sorry.
But I appreciate you being here. I'm hearing you okay. Hopefully, we can carry on, and hopefully, you can hear LolV at least well enough to make out the conversation. As always, thank you for everyone watching. Please feel free to comment and ask questions. And if you enjoy what I do give a thumb-like follow. And there is not a lot to do this time because we've already gone through a lot of these already. But it is time for the questionably quick questions, which might be quicker than usual. Questionably quick. Did you have breakfast?
Yes.
When did you wake up?
15 past 7.
What did you eat for breakfast this morning?
An apple and some chocolate chip with resin.
Nice. Iced coffee or hot tea?
Hot tea.
Okay. And what is your favorite game that I designed?
I didn't have time to play the Kitty Catastrophe game. I'm sorry.
No, you don't need
Kitty
to apologize.
Cataclysm. I so want to play it because it's probably going to be my favorite game, but for now it's Yogi slash Innerbind. But I loved Innerbound a lot. Like I think it's really good because it make it more accessible to people who can't easily contortion themselves, so they can play trader. So it's cool. I really liked it too.
Yeah, and I think that if I do develop it for the live environment, and then I need to speak to Xate so that they can give me some advice to make it accessible. And yeah, that finishes the questionably quick questions. Because
Someone has a question for me in the chat
yeah,
from
hi
YouTube.
Javier. I will get to that in a minute. Lovely to see you. So just to introduce the main topic, because I'm going to count that parts of the less quick questions, which is a completely different section. Oh, and apparently your score is 10 out of 10. That was unquestionably quick. But it was
This
helped
is my
because
third time on the show. All questions have been answered.
So, can you give us a bit of background about yourself and Toulouse and everything in as much or as little detail as you would like?
Okay, so I'm 26 years old, I'm autistic and queer, and I live in Toulouse, and I lived there since I was 5. So I did all my university, high school, and middle school here in various school, mostly in Catholic school, and then in public high school and public university,
Okay.
community college. So I studied archaeology and ancient language, and I liked it. I loved it very much. But sadly, I have like a chronic illness that we didn't see at first, and it started making my life very difficult. I was in a lot of pain. So I I still pursue archaeology and still try to go on archaeological site and work, but I was always tired and moody and in pain. And it was the same when I was trying to work on my master thesis. I couldn't complete it for various reasons, but I start feeling better and building my life a little bit, and I start working in what we call in France éducation populaire. So that means education for all, with all, at all age of life, and
Oh,
by
is it like
everybody.
Open University? Are you familiar with that?
Yes, it's the same,
Okay.
except it's like it's a umbrella term for a lot of different realities. So I first work with the Léo Lagrange Association in a fight against discrimination. So I was a facilitator for accessibility and equality workshop in a middle and high school. I loved it, but it wasn't a lot of hours. And then I got recruited by the association I work with today, which is Association Loisirs Enfants Jean Massé. So the association for children playing Jean Massé. And it's an edu edu gaming association. Sorry, I
Jean
forgot
Massé.
to. Jean Massé. Jean Massé was a great man. He
Okay.
did a number of things, but I will let everyone do their own research on him so they can make up their mind about him.
How
So any
I was going to ask, how do you spell that?
uh
J.
Gean. I'm awful at English. I will send it to you. I will write it somewhere.
Okay, if you write it in the private chat. And
Yes,
yeah, if you write it in chat, then I will. Okay, thank you very
I
much.
did.
And you've even got the little thing that I wouldn't have been able to do. So if anyone wants to Google this person, that is their name.
Yes.
And
So I got recruited last year in January, and I was still working with the Léo Lagrange Association and looking for a job, and they recruit me, and I start working in ludotheque, in that non-profit association who work mainly with game and ludotheque, so board game library. And I loved board game, but I had like a complex relationship with board game. I loved them, but at the same time I hate them. I hated them because I keep on losing because I didn't play that much board game. And I realized it's because I don't play that much that I keep on losing, because when you play board game a lot and games a lot, you kind of get better understanding the rules. And for me, losing because I didn't understand the rules was really upsetting, more than losing. So I kept on playing and playing, and I got better, and I love board game now. Like the relationship is a non-complex. Now it's a simple relationship. I love board games, and I think board games are fond of me too, in a way. At least the one
oh,
in my ludotheque.
and so Javier, I think this is the same Javier who I was in Cannes with. I hope I'm remembering correctly. But I would like to break this up into a number of questions. So firstly, can you tell us what board game conventions or expos or festivals you've been to in France?
Not a lot, because they until, as I said, until very recently this year, I was afflicted with a chronic disease, and I still am. But for the last 3 months, I finally got the right medication, so I can travel without being in a lot of pain, and that is wonderful. Like, I know right now I'm in the middle of a chronic fit, and I'm not in pain. Magic. What medication, modern medicine, whatever. So, but I've been to the Alchimie du Jeu in Toulouse, and I'm really fond of the Alchimie du Jeu. I've been going there for 5 or 6 years. It's a wonderful convention because it's it cater hey Xate, it cater for all kind of people. There are game for people who are in wheelchair or part-time wheelchair user, for little children, for teenagers. There's space when we can do LARP. There's space where we can do sword fighting.
Oh, nice.
Or yes, and I last year I was already a bit better, so I was a sword fight workshop facilitator for 2 days. It was exhausting and I was in pain all the time, but I loved it. I even go to teach sword fight to a children who was I just forgot the word. He was deaf. He was deaf, and
Okay.
so we had a translator in French Sign Language, which whom explained the rules to him, so he could play and do sword fights with us, and it was wonderful. So we had a place for role play game. I'm really fond of Alchimie du Jeu also because a part of the people working there are taught or already have learned before coming French Sign Language. So that means the festival is accessible to deaf people or people who don't hear well. And I think it's very, very important. In Toulouse, we have one association that do board game with people who are deaf or who are not hearing well and using hearing aids. And this is so important to make game accessible to a larger public. It's a bit complicated sometimes because people who are deaf and use sign language need to stop, for example, holding the card to sign. And there is a lot of specific sign, but I did learn to say a bit of things,
I
and that
think
is a wonderful feeling.
I think this kind of ties, this notion of accessibility and how that underscores everything going on. I mean, certainly when I went to Cannes the first time, what I was blown away by was that there's this glass building near it where people are able to put in their luggage or push chairs. And so there were so many people who'd come and they had little push chairs for the children, and you're not allowed to take them into the convention hall because they don't want people having big, bulky things that might hit other people if you don't actually need them. So the pushchair, I looked in this glass building and there were so many pushchairs. It was lovely to see that it's like, okay, here, if you're coming along, go there, put the pushchair in, get a ticket. And yeah, it's so wonderful to see that. And I think it ties into the fact that there's enough money going around in the big French board game publishers that basically something like Cannes is essentially funded by all the publishers that are spending money on the space. And also it's seen as something of cultural importance. And so there is money, as you've said before, coming from the government to something like
Yes.
the ludotheques. Whereas in the UK, by contrast, I feel like need to have Xates on at some point to talk about the situation in Germany, because in UK, certainly, it's not seen as culturally significant. Board games are very much seen as either this weird thing, although that is changing thanks to board game cafes. But even if you go to a board game cafe, most people who go in, it's not even a case of we want to play some fun games with our friends. It's more okay, we want to have a novelty, and one time a year for our birthday, we want to play some games that we don't want to buy, but we remember them from 50 years or 30 years ago. Like I'm talking games like Monopoly, or basically it's yeah, I don't mean to disparage Monopoly, because if you genuinely like Monopoly, then great. And if you continue enjoying Monopoly, then wonderful. Whatever brings you joy, as long as you're not imposing yourself on other people in a non-consensual way, then do whatever brings you joy. But, and I just do feel like it's really important also that the options are made available to people. And that's something that isn't really done in the same way in the UK because it's not seen as important. I mean, you could say that France is quite a bit more playful because apparently it's one of the few places, or maybe the only one, where lightsaber dueling has been recognized as an official sport. And yeah, we've got shout outs for a board gaming group where in Germany, presumably was that in Leipzig, held mostly in sign language for a year. And yeah, even if maybe it might be inaccessible for someone who doesn't speak sign language, it's or is struggling to speak it fluently, then for other people, it's really good that there is the critical mass of people to do that. And of course, good morning, Alex, and it's lovely to see you. And I love your new icon, by the way. So I think this notion of accessibility, it leads us to what we were going to have as the main topic, which is of curation. Now, when it comes to curation of in board games, I put at the bottom, how are games chosen? Which games would be unsuitable? I realize that's a bit negative. I should be saying which games are suitable, but also which games are the perfect fit. Maybe we could go through a little bit of the process first, if you feel comfortable. Who has the power to choose the game? How much say do you have? Are you able to advise the people who run the library?
I just need to remind everyone that I've been working in the board game library for only a year. I'm still learning so much in the game world. There is so much to learn and to feel excited about. But what I'm saying in this show, it's only my point of view on my work. And I'm totally aware that someone else working in a board game library in France might have another point of view also very relevant. I wanted to say that because I've been rewatching the show and being a bit self-conscious and saying to myself, I'm not sure about what I'm saying there this time. Am I convincing? What if someone else sees it? But some colleague are going to watch it and they were excited about it, so I hope they liked it. We chose the game together. My manager and the other board game library worker, the other ludotheque, is are choosing some games based on what is needed in our ludotheque at the time and what is going out this month. For example, what are the things that board game geek are talking about at the moment? What are the games trending? So we talk about that and we try to. Sometimes we argue for a bit about what is the most needed in the ludotheque, but we choose together. I might not have like the final saying, but I have a say in what we are going to play. We try to balance everything. That means we try to have new games, more recent one, games who can cater to the most different publics. So sometimes we are only buying video game for the teenagers. It's not only teenager play video game, but in the ludothèque we choose mostly video game for teenagers. That's the difference here. We try to find every now and then we buy new sensory games because we have a disabled an association of disabled people who come every week, and they loved sensory game, and those games can also be used for other kind of public. I love the sensory games. Some of the family loves them too, so we keep them and we choose that game. We got party games. It's really it's a question of balance, what we're choosing every month between what we need and what is trending right now, to sum it up.
And I imagine this is a bit facetious, but Xate asks, do you have the BGG number 1, as in Gloomhaven?
I don't know. We have a lot of game. I'm definitely not aware of everything we have or not, but I will definitely take a note of that and ask my manager, do we have Gloomhaven? We have an entire cave filled with board game. It's very possible that I have not seen it because I will have passed it in that enormous cave filled with games.
You've talked about this cave before, where you get games and then for whatever reason you feel, okay, maybe this game is not the perfect fit and we're not going to get rid of it, we're going to take this game into a cave. Presumably when something goes into the cave though, it's like someone has made a bad decision, like made a mistake. I'm not saying like we should tell people off, people are making mistakes, but is it because it's like, oh, we thought this game would be great, but then we realized something else? Is that the way it happens?
It hasn't happened during my time. It's mostly various reasons. We try to have different game every now and then. So sometimes we sort out the game in a different way. We put some in the cave and we bring back some. Sometimes it's game we have in a 2 or 3 exemplary. We have the game. We have several times that peculiar game, so we don't need to have the 3 ones of in the library. What is English anymore? I don't know how to speak. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
So,
You're doing really well. And
thank you.
yeah, just so people don't know, it has been a long weekend for both of us, but one of us is speaking her native language. Well, technically my first ever language was 4C, but I was born in Scotland, and so English is my native language, whereas one of us is not speaking their native language because LolV, I mean, I'm always impressed by how well people across the world can speak English, but you know, our better than I will probably ever be able to speak French.
You are great. You are great. Every time you speak French to me, I totally recognize the word, and you have not that much of an accent.
Oh, merci beaucoup.
Oh, I didn't see a Sunday yet.
Basically, I was reading out the rules for Yogi. I did an unboxing of the French version, and I just to make it more interesting, and also I have extra copies of the French version because they were sent to me by accident. And also, I've gone in a whole thing, like if anyone wants to have Yogi in the UK, to like, just because it's cheap for me to send within the UK. So if a school wants some copies to teach French to the students, I think it is a very good game. Now, talking about this cave and bringing things back and forth, I think it's such a lovely idea. And I know when you look at a museum, the Burrell collection in Glasgow has a very similar thing, that the entire collection is basically in a warehouse, but then every maybe 6 months, they swap in parts of it and they swap out parts of it. So if you go every few months, it might even be faster, like every 3 months. I don't know exactly, but if you go a few times a year, then you will sometimes say, oh, wow, that statue was never there before. Oh, wow, that thing that I saw, they've moved that away. Oh, that's a shame. But now there's something new that you can see. And so every time you see different paintings, and apparently they, when a lot of people come, we open it for the free tables, but yeah. So I wanted to talk into the key question: what makes a game good for a ludothèque? What would you say are some qualities of a game that makes it a suitable thing?
I think the game who are the most needed and useful in a ludothèque, it's since they are going to be borrowed, are resilient game, solid game.
Oh, you
So
mean
of
something
course,
like physically? So you don't like paper cards,
physically
you want
resilient.
PVC, you want Bakelite, you want hard wood.
Card tend to fend well, but I remind you that I also work in a ludothèque with a teenager from a difficult background, and they are not so soft or precautious with card, and I often I get back the card and they are really not torn, but a bit ruffled,
Hmm.
and I'm not so happy about it. But they are so happy playing the game that you can't really be be that angry at them for playing it a bit rough. But well, I think resilient game are really useful to ludothèque, very good. Game who can cater to various public. So not only party games, but games who can be played, for example, from 8 to 90 and much are very useful, because that means a family can play it, teenager can play it, old people can play it, and also game who are accessible, because we need game to be we need game to be played by a lot of different people, different publics, and that include people who have different capacities and stuff.
So the notion
I
of
lose
being a
my words.
family game and being so you mentioned three things. One was being resilient and hard wearing. So presumably Yogi, I mean, I'm yes, I'm insanely biased and I feel slightly bad every time I do it, but I've got to just get over this. Thanks to what Jigamic did, that you can you know, do that and then do that and then the card, it's fine.
Yes.
And I'm not going to try, but literally, tearing one of these cards is actually very hard, even if you try to tear them. Because when I got it, it was like, wow, this is amazing. I can't even destroy this. And then I took scissors to one of the cards to say, wow, how hard would it be hard? And no, if you use scissors, it's actually really easy to slice. But then when I went to the first convention, I showed it to John Dodd, who's like a weightlifter. They are so strong, they can like press hundreds of kilos. And if you've seen John Dodd's shoulders, I'm going to change the screen. So John Dodd's shoulders are literally, yeah,
Whoa.
even bigger than this screen. And
He's bulky.
that's that is not because, well, they have a lot of muscle. And Yeah, anyway, so John Dodd came and then tried to tear this card for about a minute, and then he said, "Yep, you can go out on record as saying that John Dodd could not tear this card." I will say that eventually I showed the same card to so many people over one day at Dragon Meet, and eventually, after maybe 2 hours, someone was able to tear it, and so it was because so many people had tried, if you know what I mean. And then someone else on another day said, "Okay, I can tear it by doing this really quickly." And so, yeah, but presumably that and Hive and Hive, of course, Hive, and
Yeah.
something like, yeah, anything where you've got plastic pieces like Tantrix. I think that's also distributed by Gigamic. And also, I guess their wooden abstract games are maybe quite good for that. But
Yes.
the second thing you mentioned was to be played by many different people, like a family game. And then the third thing you mentioned was being accessible. Um, did isn't being accessible and being playable with the family, are those things kind of the same, or would you make a distinction between them?
I would make a distinction because, for example, for me, Seven Wonders is a family game in a way. Of course, it has a lot of strategy, but you can play it at a fairly young age and until a fairly old age, I think. But if you don't see, it's becoming complicated to play because you can't see what wonder you need to buy, what are the resources of the unstable, or if you are someone who's like who suffer from there are a lot of different games who are not accessible
Hmm.
for various reasons. You can play even if you're deaf, you can play, for example, Scrabble. But if you are a dyslexic person, a person with dyslexia or dyspraxia or another cognitive cognitive disability, it's becoming very, very difficult. Or the L game, for example, is very difficult for people who are not very good with word and language for various reasons. That does not mean that the L game, L deck is not accessible. I think it's a very accessible game because you can play it while not moving that much, or at least some of the version. So it's complicated because you have to have games that are accessible to different public. So you have to have sensory game for little children, family, and people who can maybe use all the senses. But you also need to have a strategic game to appeal to the older gamer population.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot to unpack there, and
Yeah.
I I would love to have Michael Heron on, who kind of said that they would be willing to come on, although they also suggested that they, yeah, a little bit further in down the road. And Michael Heron, for those who don't know, does Meeples Like Us, which is a website that used to write all about accessibility. Now, Meeples Like Us is on a break right now because it was a bit too much work for Michael Heron. And Michael Heron goes through these different types of accessibility. It's like, okay, what if you can't move? What if you can't see? What if you can't hear? What if you have, if you're neuroatypical and you've got some emotional problems going on? What if you have some cognitive understanding difficulties? And then
Yes.
going through all of these, and then looking also at the socioeconomic parts of the game. Is there representation of people? Is it putting up micro barriers? And finally, how expensive is this game? Which I think is the one part that for the ludotheque, I guess, should not matter. Like, if a game is the most amazing game, so let's say you have, for example, let's say there were a deluxe, let's say there was a deluxe version of the game that was hard wearing, or was, and then like, actually, I'm thinking of Hanabi. You know Hanabi?
Oh yeah, I love that game.
So when you've got Hanabi Deluxe, which has the tiles, and then with the deluxe version, that means that that's probably going to be something that even if someone spills a drink on it, nothing happens to the game. Now, I would be interested to know, what do you have that is, which version of it do you have? And we've got shout out. And firstly, Javier, I just want to say thank you for writing that. It's really lovely to hear that people are enjoying it, and sure that LolV appreciates the appreciation. And yes, shout to meeples like us. So getting back to Hanabi, which version do you have? And
I think we have the regular version.
so do you think that's because the regular version came out first and there wasn't the possibility of the later version? Or do you think it's because it was too expensive?
No, I'm sure it's because it's the first version, because I like said we have a monthly budget when it comes to games, and so every month we choose game we will buy the next month. And I know about Anabi, my predecessor and my manager were really excited, so they buy the first version. They might not be aware that there is a deluxe version with ties. They might not they might not be aware of it.
I mean, I don't know how much it is, or even if it was, if it's still around, but I guess if a game then gets destroyed, let's say you had Kitty Cataclysm and people were enjoying it, but then the cards got destroyed. What happens at that point? Would you look into getting a replacement copy automatically because it's been enjoyed? What's the process?
If the game is being enjoyed and we don't have a copy, most of the time we might borrow it to the association. The association have copy of the games. And if the association don't have any copy, we probably will buy a new one. Because if the game is very, very popular among our public, because you also have to keep in mind that we have people who subscribe for several months or a year of the ludotheque services. So they will come every week or every 2 weeks. So if a game is very popular among a population and we see a lot of people playing it, surely it will be replaced. And that's what we do with the teenager, because we also work in the middle school, in the neighborhood middle school. And we have several games that are pretty popular among the teenager and that got destroyed or very, very damaged every year because they are so excited to play with it, because they are not very, very precarious or soft with the game. They are learning about being more aware, more. They are learning to be still and soft with things. They are 11 to 15, so it's still an age of learning. But we need to replace those games. Every year we replace. What is the name of this game? That's a game where you need to eat the card on the table when you play it.
Wait,
I don't.
oh, do you mean the cheating moth?
No, we have this one though, but it's not this one.
Do you know what
What
it's
is it?
called in French?
I don't remember. I have like a total blank, and I love
No
that game.
worries, it's all good. Um,
I should take
So
note before the stream show.
it sounds like price itself isn't going to be something that, yes, you need to think about this monthly budget that you have, but you're not going to say no to a game just because it costs too much.
Yes.
What are some things? Javier asks, was it Tarantula Tango?
No, it's a game with it's a game in a jungle with chameleon and gorillas, snakes, and flies. I don't remember it.
Oh, no. Gobbit.
Yes, no, it's not jungle. Yes, it's Gobbit. Yes.
Gobbit.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
so relieved. We have fun. It's Gobbit.
So
And
every
the
year you have
children-
to replace Gobbit.
Yes, we have 2 exemplar in the teenager in the middle school ludotheque, and every year we have to replace at least one of them because they do not hold anything when they play. You know, you feel that their whole life depend on their victory in the game. So yes, they go with a hole and shenanigan ensue after that.
So let's talk about what would make you is there anything that would make a game just say, no, we are not having this? I mean, I understand not every game can be accessible to physically impaired people, and I understand you have a copy of Yogi in the library. And I
Yes.
understand, well, Gobbit, is clearly inaccessible if you can't use your arms very well. And
Yes.
not every game can be accessible to any individual. But is there anything, for example, any themes or anything to do with representation that you would just say, no, we cannot have this game?
Yes, we have been trying, at least since I was there. I see that my manager is trying to be very, very delicate regarding the choosing on the game of the game. He really tried to see when you watch a game and you watch for example, is there people represented in the game? If there is not the same number of women and men represented, for example, he might think twice about it. And he's also trying to think, are there any people of color represented in the game? Are they represented in a good light or in a slightly bad light or bad light? And he's really trying to think about that, and I think it's really admirable. Like I'm really happy to be I'm really happy with my manager. That's what I'm saying. Hey, Nicolas, if you are watching the game, I love working with you. If you are watching the show, I love working with you. What I mean is really trying to think about that, because we have a neighborhood with a very diverse population, so with black and brown people and people from Vietnam, for example, and we need to cater to those people as well because they play game and they deserve to be represented in the game. Lately, we also have tried to avoid a game that have a sexist connotation, for example, like with a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of male gaze involved, in the representation of women in the really I don't know to say that in poses that are supposed to enhance the feminine attribute, but who
Yeah, because
are
something
not
like
making
that
them look.
can even
Yes.
be quite harmful for someone who's got a developing mind. I
Yes.
guess, does it come to the notion of how much harm does it cause? Because a game like, I know that someone complained that, well, I've only seen one complaint about Yogi from someone saying that the card with the Native American making this gesture was a bit offensive because they felt like this is portraying a stereotype of Native American people, and they felt like it wasn't a good thing. I told Simon Caruso, the artist, about this, and Simon was very accepting and said, "Yeah, I didn't think of that either. We will have to be more careful in future." And I'm really happy that Jigamic chose an artist who now we are, yes, we are Facebook friends, and to some degree, even if they were not a great person, we would probably be Facebook friends anyway. But to have someone who's aware of the fact that games can cause harm, that any representation where something is, sorry, this is a big tangent, but Jeff Engelstein, on if you subscribe to the Ludology podcast, Jeff Engelstein has a talk about a game mechanism where, let's imagine you take out balls and out of a bag, and in whichever ball you see, you put back in two of it. And that's a fair system. But then very quickly, let's say you start off with 3 different balls, and then straight away there's going to be 2 of one color, 2 of the other. And then maybe one of them it perpetuates and it becomes the majority. And so soon enough, quickly you might get into a situation where advancing something along a market track or activating some sorts of events or privileges, that is going to come to one thing. And by simply perpetuating the status quo, you are being unfair, because yes, there are technically fair rules, but those fair rules, they come from an unequal standpoint. And
Yes.
I mean, that isn't even necessarily exactly what we're talking about. But what I wanted to talk about is the fact that, let's say, without that one card, okay, I mean, okay, that one card was questionable in Yogi, but apart, I mean, that, or even Yogi Guru, yes, it's inaccessible to people who are physically impaired, but I like to believe that there's no harm that it causes. And if anyone has any thoughts, then please, I am very open to constructive criticism and to learning. But there are games that, even if they do not seek to cause harm, they can cause harm by the colonialist messages that Calvin was talking about earlier, or perpetuating the patriarchy, or
Yes.
perpetuating stereotypes, or all sorts of things.
Yes, we are trained to be mindful of that when we choose game. And the other day I was, even me, and I'm an activist and I'm really adamant about my activism. The other day I was talking with my colleague about a game that I love, and she said, I don't like it because it's pretty sexist. And I didn't realize it was sexist, and I said, oh, that's true, the only female character that we see in the game is just waiting to be saved or winged by the men. So yeah, it's pretty sexist. And when I realized that, I thought, oh yes, that's the kind of message I give to the young one when I play this game with them. It's women are not part of the adventure, and that is not nice. So yeah, I think it's difficult to stay mindful, but we are trying at least to keep in mind, to keep when we choose the game, we try
So,
to avoid our own blind spot. That's what I mean. We are not aware of every discrimination, but we are trying to find our own blind spot to fight them.
as we start wrapping up, I would like to talk about any tips that you would like to pass on, whether it is to other people who are curating a collection, whether that collection is for a ludotheque, or whether that collection is for, a convention that they're running. Maybe they are expecting to have 200 people and are like, okay, let's get some board games for these people who are going to come here every so often. So also any tips that you might have for publishers, whichever comes easier to you in any order, any tips that you might want.
I have several, but those are very simple tips that I learn as well, and I believe that people are aware of it. When you play a game, you take the cover, the hood of the box, and you put it on the side, and sometimes you put the rest of the box in it. Don't do that, because that means that the cover break slightly and slowly, but that break it, and that's not a good idea. When you count your game, because you do it to make sure you don't miss any pieces, try to divide it in small chunks so you can recount the game quicker and safely. Those are very simple tips. I'm sorry.
No, these are not things. Honestly, the thing about putting it into the lid, I don't do that purely because it's slightly difficult getting it outside of it. But I did not realize that it would lead to the lid of the box breaking. I think that's
Yes,
really useful for everyone to know.
yes, it
Please don't.
does.
We are all learning together, and so please, anything else that you're happy to share.
If you have a big box with a lid and a lot of cards, you can either wrap the card in with an elastic to keep them together, or put them in a plastic bag. Same with the meeples and all the part in the box. It might feel like you every time you're playing, you are unboxing your game. Sometimes it's a good feeling. I like the feeling that I'm the first one playing Terraforming Mars, even though we have already playing 2,000 time since we've got it several times a week. Because every time I'm getting out of the box all the little plastic bags with the meeple and the wooden cube and stuff. But it's also making recounting and cleaning your table after the game fairly easier, and it keep all your pieces together. I think that is all. I don't. It's also work for Scrabble. Like all of
Hmm.
this, you can put it in a bag. It make it easy to get everything into it.
Yeah, I think that yeah, it's so useful to have a bunch of bags, and I bought bags mainly for my own prototyping because I can justify it as a business expense. And so I have these bags. I bought maybe, well, actually, recently with the stickers, I bought little bags for the size of the stickers, but then also some of them, I'm realizing, oh, wow, that would be perfect for that game. I'm going to just steal some of these bags because I bought so many and are like 2 pence each. And so spending that, you know, putting in 5 or 10 bags, maybe it costs 20 pence, but it makes the game feel so much nicer. And yeah, they just pile up. I think that um, it feels like wee baggies, it's for very specialist hobbies.
Yes,
Do
like
you,
the sleeve when you play Magic. You sleeve your card and your deck. It's such a nice feeling when you go to sleeve your deck when you're a Magic player, Magic the Gathering. I love Magic the Gathering.
should maybe have you on for another review of it because I think I reviewed it, but I realized that I didn't really do it justice, because it's a really interesting one where the purchase model kind of is the game because the ownership of your deck and creating your own deck is kind of almost so ingrained into the game that if I say, okay, you could get these pre-constructed decks, you could get Liliana versus Garruk and play, one person plays the Liliana deck, one person plays, I don't know if that's actually a deck, although those are the names of planeswalkers. There's definitely angelic versus demonic, and there's definitely some themes that might turn some people off, but just because, you know, some people would prefer not to have angels and demons represented in a game.
Yes, but we can we actually, if we choose our version well, we can avoid entirely angelic versus demonic narrative, because it's pretty important in Innistrad. But Innistrad, I love Innistrad. I'm an angelic player. I love Innistrad. And I'm also a Garu player. I love playing werewolf, so I love Innistrad. But Innistrad is not the pinnacle of magic. There are a lot of other versions existing. A lot of people are going to hate me because I'm saying that Innistrad is not the only one existing. But yeah.
Okay, I'm aware that, like, I said that I kind of made a decision that we try to wrap up generally around this time going forwards, try to keep it to 75, 80 minutes. I'm just going to say my favorite set is the release. Oh, you know what? Let's have a day sometime in the future where we just talk about Magic the Gathering, because yeah, there are some people who want this to just be a super long, like 3-hour show every single day, but there are some people who I feel like, for me, what I like about it is having something that's, hey, let's check in, let's talk about a thing, let's have a little bit of time to see, okay, what have you enjoyed recently? And for other people, and oh, Xate just loves you apparently. Not every day, just on LolV Day. So,
thank you, Xate.
I'm so sorry, Xate. And yeah, sending positive healing thoughts, trying to.
I'm sorry.
I will. So, but I do want to wrap up. But do you have anything that you would like to share with any publishers or designers like myself? I mean, I am a self-publisher, but we've had other bigger publishers on the show. We've had, you know, even Cosmos has come on, which was super exciting the other day.
I don't know much about the board game industry, but I'm starting to know a bit about LARP game. And in LARP game, I'm an edugamer and a LARper for transformation. So I believe that game can change our life, can change the way we envision life. And for game to be transformative, game have to be honest and kind in the way we don't have to be honest and kind while playing Monopoly. It's impossible, because it's a game about buying stuff and pushing other to financial problem in game. But in LARPing for transformation, one of the designer tips is to have people of different diverse population from diverse background and different backgrounds than yours, rereading, proofreading your game, testing, and welcoming all those people ID. So just keep in mind that maybe it suits you and it suits you from your background, but maybe someone else has something to say, whether it's insensitive or they are very excited about it.
And I think it's, yeah, well, these key points that you made, honesty, but also kindness, I think those are really good values to uphold. and I just wanted to repeat them. And as we finish up, I would like to invite everyone, including LolV, but also everyone in the audience. Oh, whoops, not that. To say, what are we looking forward to? What are our hopes and ambitions? It's over to you for this final section. So what are we looking forward to, and what are your hopes and ambitions? It can be a small meal that you're going to cook, something that maybe you've got in the fridge to eat. Maybe it's something a walk that you're going to do, or something that you're going to watch, or a bit of work, or a drawing, or anything. Anything which is small or big. Have you got something in mind, LolV?
I'm really looking forward to the playtest of True Colors in the end of the week. I'm also looking forward to working on my comics. I'm drawing a little comics for the Knutpunkt, which is a big LARP convention that I will be attending in Norway in February, and I've been selected to write a little chunk for the KP book, so the book of the Knutpunkt. Knutpunkt, I don't know how to say it in Norwegian, but they selected me and I need to work on that comics. And it's very challenging. I'm overwhelmed, but also I'm looking forward to it and excited about it.
No. And Alan Oughton is looking forward to a skip arriving later, and they say, sorry, that's a bit of a rubbish ambition.
No.
No, it's a pun. Sorry, so rubbish as in because you put rubbish in the skip.
Oh, it's funny then.
Yeah, and says they're looking forward to teaching Targi on BGA to someone. That will be fun. Oh. And yeah, at some point I would be up for playing that with you. Oh wait, Xate, remind me, do you prefer it when you're playing against someone who knows the game well enough to actually pose a challenge? But I heard good things yesterday when Cosmos came in. Yeah, not today, but because I've already got some gaming lined up. I'm excited that I got a message just an hour ago from McCall to confirm that they are feeling okay to play games, because for a couple of weeks they have just been too overloaded with work. I don't want to say too much about them because obviously I'm speaking for McCall, but yeah, even in this day and age, some people are still even potentially more overloaded than before, and everyone needs to find their own thing. But I'm really happy that Cole is going to be able to stop working at a reasonable hour and is not going to be too mentally exhausted, that they feel ready to play some games again, which is going to be lovely to see them again for that. So I'm going to pick out a couple of things that we can play together. Also, I've read through the rules of 8 of the 16 L games that I really liked the sound of all the games. There's 2 or 3 that I think I'm not 100%. Alan Oughton asks, "We're all 8 Xates?" No, Xates only did 3. I think it was 2 of something like 3 of their own and 2. No, 2 of their own and 2 with Alex. That's right, correct. And anyway, so I've read through these things. I don't want to name names, and I'll do a show when I have a chance to do when I have a chance to do a show on my own. I'm going to be talking about the LDEC contest, because I was thinking that we might live stream it, and I just kind of say to the other judges make sure that you don't watch it, so that anyone in the comments, only I will see those comments, if you know what I mean. One of the games is not actually possible to play in real life, which is really interesting. I don't know if that game should be if that should be something that can win the competition, but I'm really, really excited by it because it's just such a new idea. It's basically, there's one of them, which is a game which you have to play over the internet so that one person can mute themselves so that they can't talk, which you could do in real life, but one person basically blindfolds themselves so they can't see, or so they could just like minimize the window. But then the thing that would be difficult to do in real life is one person just turns down the volume so they can't hear anything. So it's like the three monkeys. And then you're trying to make words and you're giving it to other people. And yeah, I know you have noise cancelling headphones in real life, but those are super expensive and they don't always cancel every single noise. So if you really need to hear nothing, well, we could try it in real life and see how it works. But anyway, I'm looking forward to just reading through the rest of the rules and seeing what's going on there. I'm looking forward to sorting out a plan for the drawing. I'm looking forward to McCall and Chris and seeing them because they are lovely friends that are in my bubble. And my hope and ambition, if I go to that, is just I think what you talked about, honesty and kindness, I think those are really, and I hope that these are values that everyone can embrace, honesty and kindness.
Yes.
So do you have anything else that you would like to add? If you want to find me, I am stuffwithbez.bigcartel.com, where you can buy my stuff. Twitter.com/stuffwithbez, I tweet all the time. Instagram.com/stuffwithbez, I put on pictures occasionally. Twitch.tv/stuffwithbez is where you should be watching. Facebook.com/thingsbybez. Yeah, you probably want to be in the Facebook groups instead, or you can email me. Oh yeah, that will definitely be coming in the next week or so as a steampunk airship pirates wielding a card as a sword. And yeah, if people want to find you, LolV, where can
Yes.
people go to find you?
They can find me on Instagram under the name specifically Sparkly. That's one day I will have my own website, but until then you can contact me on Instagram. I do little drawing of various sort with a lot of rainbow. That's my favorite thing. That's a self-portrait of me as trans. I like it.
Yeah, and it's really nice to see other people's artwork, and certainly when it's someone that feel a personal connection to also, it's all even more meaningful. To recap
Yes.
this whole thing, I guess I would like to say, yeah, so accessibility is important, that you need to think about when you're curating games for a library, you need to think about durability, you need to think about thematically being okay for a family. That is something that would make a game vetoed if the theme was totally inappropriate or damaging to people. But you want it to be accessible if it can be, but that's kind of like bonus points. If it can't be accessible in a particular way, that's okay. But it basically has to be family friendly. And we also talked about don't put boxes inside the lids. Just stop that. Everyone, just stop that, please. And
Yes.
is there anything else that for the recap?
No, we all like little bags to put our meeple and card into it.
Mm, yeah.
Apparently, be kind, take care.
And I would like to say thank you to some people. I would like to say thank you to everyone watching. I would like to. Oh, we like small bags and we cannot lie. All those other people can't deny that when someone comes with a little bitty twist and a bag pinned or fist, well, it's packed, packed. Gets in bag, gets packed. Gets the collars are separated, gets in the bags are separate. So yeah, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank Alan Oughton for being awesome and yeah, watching basically every day, and Xate for being my best moderator. I see that CD has popped out, but I have made CD a VIP because CD is lovely and they've been watching quite a few times. And yeah, thank you very much for popping in. And I want to thank Javier.
Yes.
Again, I think I already said that, and for the questions and for the lovely reaffirmation. And most importantly, I want to say thank you to LolV. Thank you, LolV.
Oh, thank you for having me for the third time in the show. I love it here.
It has been wonderful having you as a guest and all these conversations. And yeah, to wrap up, please share and spread the word. I am not going to be back in a couple of hours. Aw. And even I am really honored that you were such a big part of it, and thank you so much, Xate, for being such a big part. And so it's like, yeah, genuinely, if you wanted to come to every single evening thing, and I want to start doing, I don't know how often, but maybe just whenever I can or whenever I feel the energy. But it's something I would like to plan with some American people who can't be here, to talk about someone that I really want to spotlight, like once every month or something. Someone like, yeah, that's one of the. But share, spread the word, let people know. I will be back at 10 a.m. Oh, if you want to do a morning show, let me know what topic you would like to do. And yeah, let me know a topic, get in touch. Currently, I'm booked up for about a month. But yeah, my next streams, I've not written them down, but basically tomorrow I'm having Nuria. Nuria is a game designer publisher from Spain, and I'm super excited to have them on. And then Wednesday, I'm talking with some people from Inside the Box who I do have a personal bias for because they licensed Seize the Power, but we're going to be talking about Gen Con online, which also happened last weekend because they launched a game den. On Thursday, I'm going to be talking with Dina, hoping to talk with Norbert about board game arena programming on Friday. Then Saturday and Sunday, I don't have a plan yet, so I'll probably do solo shows. But Tuesday and Thursday also, I'm playing games at 8 p.m. But honestly, today it's probably mainly going to be me taking a break and sorting out what I'm doing for the next few days. And thank you, everyone. Let's see what the comments say. Oh, Xate wants to do a regular show. Well, send me a message. I'm hesitant to do too much more stuff as a regular thing. But Alan Oughton suggests you do the extraordinarily Xate. That should be Xat show, surely. The extraordinary Xate work. So if you just replace the first two letters with X's.
I have free time, Zate. If you need a co-hoster, I have a lot of free time.
And
It's me on Facebook.
yeah, so LolV, that sounds awesome. So making relationships.
We are just going to chat about board game.
And
Oh,
no,
I see.
sorry, I don't mean
Yes.
relationships as in necessarily romantic relationships or anything.
No, it's okay.
I meant relationships as in, you know, friends. And
Yes, amazing.
cause yeah, I want to say that, and there is only one thing left to do. And that one thing left to do is to say bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along.
Hello.
Bye, 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 bye.
Bye
This is the
bye.
end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song.
Song.
Bye, 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 bye. You distracted me too much, Sheets. Thank you for watching along. That's the one. Bye, bye, bye.
And now it's time to go. Goodbye.
Bye, bye, everyone. Bye, bye.
Bye bye.
I'll leave you to hang around for 10 seconds, LolV. Bye, bye.